Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the PlayVS Cup. We are here with what looks to be the very grand finals for the whole tournament, and with me to take us through this wonderful event is none other than Bass from the past. My goodness, I don't get to cast enough with you, but finally we get our time, we get our stage right here on the PlayVS Cup.
It has been a while, but we could not find a better reunion here than on the PlayVS channel with the PlayVS Cup. This is not just a big tournament. This is the, I would say, amalgamation of everything that these teams have been fighting for this entire year. Almost, I think it's $50,000 on the line at this point. $35,000 going to first place and $15,000 going to second. This is scholarship money, just to be clear, so it is not direct funds, but I mean, at $35,000, there's a little bit of wiggle room. That's a lot of money to be playing for.
That's just insane. $35,000, and knowing that this is just for schools as well. It's a brilliant amount of money to be able to invest and just have for yourself and do whatever you want with it. But also, you're in the grand final. Surely that is enough of a prize to just take home. The money is just a bit of an extra, isn't it, right? But we can see on our screens the bracket and the matches that these two teams have had to face on through as they've run through this PlayVS Cup. Varsity Rocket League taking on the BJHS Fusion and Mahanasun Warriors, who I was able to witness earlier on when the beginning state championships were taking place. Mahanasun Warriors were not a team to be messed around with. And then Phoenix Gaming going against the THS Varsity side. But Bass, okay, we've done a bit of research on these players and we know a bit about what is going on with these two teams, don't we? We know on the side of Varsity, only one big name player in Fear Classic. Also, Raw like Walrus. What are your thoughts on those two players?
So, I've seen this team play before. St. John Bosco, as the Varsity RL team is called, I believe is one of the cups that I was actually able to cast here on the PlayVS channel. And when I got to watch them play, one of the biggest things, and I think one of the biggest standouts, is that they didn't really have a player that they leaned on necessarily. Obviously, Fear Classic, as we talked about, comes into this one probably the highest rated player, just underneath 2,000 MMR, which means that he's going to be pretty solid. But at the same time, you can't necessarily take a team just by yourself. You need to have team plays, especially in high school Rocket League. It does feel like that's necessary. A lot of these teams are going to have to keep their nerves calm, and if you want to do that, it's by using all three of the pieces of the puzzle. So, I'm interested to see how this team plays. It does feel like they're going to have to try and find a dynamic, because on the other side, for Phoenix Gaming, a little bit of a different story here, Swaces.
It absolutely is. We have Isolation, who is what is looking to be the lowest ranked player in this lobby, but that still does not mean that in a competitive environment they will be not able to keep up with the pace of play. Sometimes you can get a 1700 player in, which is what Isolation is themselves, and they can be really, really comfortable in competitive play because it's a totally different thing to ranked. Ranked is good to show some sort of ability, maybe your mechanics, maybe your speed, something on the lines of that, but overall, when you get into a competitive environment, everything changes. Your mentality has to be different. The way you think about the game has to be different. Your movement on the pitch must change as well. And Isolation could be a player to provide such wonders to their squad. But also, you have Rivers, a 1750 player, and the main man on the team, Jack the Flea. He'll be the one trying to be the difference maker for this Phoenix Gaming side, being the 1900 star player on this roster.
That's a big player to have on your roster, especially in an environment like this. I mean, you talk about, you get to the grand finals, everything changes, the stakes are higher, the way that you've got to play is going to be a lot more aggressive, and I think the big thing for me that really is going to take a factor here is that you're on stream. It may not feel like there's a huge difference, but until you've actually played on a broadcasted match in an environment like this, you don't really know what it feels like. Your nerves get ramped up to 11. All of a sudden, all these simple plays that normally you would never second guess yourself on, you're taking a second. You're hesitating. You're not really sure if you're just as confident as before. And it's because of the fact that there are eyes on you that are judging every single move you make. So these players, they've got to keep their nerves in check here. It really does feel like whichever team comes into this one with a little bit more of a cool head is probably walking away with that $35,000 first place.
Well, it's not just about having the cool head when you go into it. I believe it's also important to try and get that first goal, because you can come into it nice, cool, feeling calm about everything, but the goal is the icebreaker. That is when you finally are able to sit back, just let your blood pressure go down a little bit and start really moving with the flow, right? I mean, Bass, come on. We've played a couple games of Rocket League before, maybe one or two, so we know we're even close to what these players are capable of, but we understand that first goal is comforting, isn't it? It lets you a bit loose. Then you can just try and do some more freestyle sort of things, try and be a bit more creative on your attack, you know? Anything that you want to do, and that's what we want to see from these players today.
That's the big thing, is it does feel like you said, you know, hitting the ground running is going to be key for either one of these squads, because it just... You kind of have to. There's not really much of an option here, especially I would say in high school more particularly, is that you are going to have that volatility of players who maybe haven't been at a level like this before. So you want to get them comfortable. You want to make them feel like they, you know, belong in this lobby. Get them an early goal. Give them the ability to really find that confidence, to really sway themselves in one way or the other. Because we do see that a lot. Once teams find that initial goal, once they find their initial strategies, they either double down or they slowly adjust to try and figure out how to counter. But I'd like to see one of the teams sort of, you know, make their mark, hit the ground running, get an early goal, stamp their foot on what they believe is their territory, and then try to play with whatever their play style is from there on out. I've seen teams play in high school just kind of reactive ball, if you will. Wait to see how the other team plays, because if it is going to be a little bit more volatile, take advantage of the mistakes that they make. And I think that's one of the biggest things at pretty much all levels of Rocket League just underneath pro, is being able to recognize that you are not a pro. So mistakes are going to happen, and when they do, capitalize tenfold.
Absolutely. But mistakes aren't just something which is something that doesn't happen often at the top level. It happens at every single level. But the difference is a team's rotation is so important to help with those mistakes. That's why you have your teammates. That's why you need to rely on them and trust them that they're going to be there to support you if you do mess up a little bit, all right? If you do make a little bit of an error and it's a bit dangerous, you go like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or you make a mechanical error or something on the lines of that, then it's also good to know that your teammates are going to be there backing you up. You just go, oh, missing. Then your teammate can say, I got it. Don't worry, it's all good. I got you. Then you can pass it into the middle. They can put it onto the backboard, get a good clear away. Whatever it is, that trust is enormous when you get into these high-stake games. To understand every little bit of your team composition makes what you will put down on the pitch that little bit better. Talking about these teams, and obviously all the knowledge that we have on them so far here, Bass, what is your thoughts on how Phoenix Gaming are going to have to approach it? Because we know that their opposite number do have slightly higher caliber players from what we know. What are they going to do to try and counteract that with slightly lower ranked players?
I think the big thing here is that you kind of need to try and work on your volatility, if you will. You know, making sure that you're going to have that ability to sort of, if the other team starts stunting because they've got that higher level player, let them do their thing, read how the play is going to go, and then start to kind of adjust from there. I really do think adaptations are going to be necessary for either one of these squads. They are adaptations, though, we're going to talk about in a little while. Quick little break here to make sure we got everything set up behind the scenes, but when we return, we will have our grand finals between Farmington High School and St. John Bosco. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. Every little issue has now been resolved, and guess what, Bass? We are about to step it up another level as the players are in the arena. They are getting ready and raring to go. So, we're going to get down to the single most horrible question in history, which I'm not even going to ask you what it is, because you already know, and I'm going to give you the pain of being the first one to choose.
All right. Well, between Farmington and St. John Bosco here, I'm going to pit St. John Bosco. And the reason why is straight up, I've seen the team play before. I don't know the factors of Phoenix Gaming here on the Farmington side. They're a good team. They are a solid team. Based on their numbers, they should be pretty solid. The issue for me is that they are an unknown factor, and I'm just a guy who likes to go with the plain old reliable. And my reliable is the team I've seen before. I'm taking St. John Bosco here. It feels like they've had a really deep run, upsetting even the #1 seed in this bracket to make it through to this event. So, I don't know. Let's say 4-2. I'm saying this competitive series, but I'm going to still say that I see St. John Bosco on the varsity RL boys coming out on top.
Okay, 4-2. Well, you know what? I was going to actually say the exact same as you, but I'm going to have to change it up a little bit. I'll go 4-3, okay? Just to make sure we go all the way to 7, because what else could you ask for with a grand final than to go all the way to the very last game to find yourself in that intense moment? Could we even get an overtime as well, Bass? How good would that be?
I want overtimes. I literally,
overtime.
I can't
Yeah.
ever complain about overtimes. Unfortunately, I mean, listen, you know this. You've seen the teams that I cast in multiple other events. This is a curse that I unfortunately bring with me everywhere that I go. It is going to be close. There's no way that this one is going to otherwise. And then, well, fast forward to 20 minutes from now when all of a sudden one team just completely steamrolls at this point. I don't think it's going to happen, but it feels like it'd be a, you know, cosmic joke if it does here. But I'd prefer less laughs, a little bit more serious faces. I want to see the two teams leave it all out there on the pitch. I know that they can. I'm excited to see what can happen here because, again, $50,000 getting split between the two teams. You walk away minimum with 15,000. What? Minimum 15.
Oh, gosh. Well, I would love to be a winner of even just $15,000 or $35,000 would be just a little bit better. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to be the ones competing for that. The players that are now on the field are going to be hunting down that prize pool. Who will get the edge from the very beginning? Only time will tell. And straight away, seeing the ball be placed deeply into the orange half. A long boom all the way downfield. Fear Classic up for this. Wants to get the slight little touch. Not the best clear from Jack the Flea. Still the attack coming in from Roar like a walrus. He didn't really roar too loudly there. And it is cleared away, but it's all the way down the other end. It's wide open. No one can put it in. And somehow we don't have a goal yet.
A backflip on defense completely opens up the line, but the shot is just barely wide, and that one's gonna do the same. Two huge opportunities on either end. Neither team can capitalize, and this kind of just plays into what you and I were talking about before, Sways, as it feels like that first goal is gonna be oh so important.
Really a way to settle the nerves, to try and regain some sort of control on the matchup. So now we see K-Boss trying to get to this onto the bat ball. Double tap was available. Couldn't quite get themselves up in time. As Roar like a walrus into Fear Classic. Fear Classic wanted to set it down to the center. Couldn't find himself quite quick enough though. K-Boss, the unknown player on this roster. The one that we were asking questions about. And so far, I would say that they've been pretty solid.
They've been stepping up here. They've really been controlling this offense, putting pressure on when it counts and taking you by surprise. Out of nowhere, K-Boss finds the first.
There we go. We said their name, and guess what? They provided us with what was a unconventional goal that could have been defended a little bit better, but it's a really good start for this side. They've been under a lot of pressure from Jack the Flea, especially, who has been a bit of a nuisance to try and handle so far. You can really see that they are the main player on this team, but either way, the orange side is really starting to come forward into fruition of everything that they've got. And they just want to keep this momentum now, keep on pushing forward and try and find another goal.
They're unfortunately pushed up against themselves for right now, though. The pressure up against this side, and oh, this could be a problem. Isolation got a shot, not on target. Another one goes wide for the Phoenix Gaming side, and you gotta wonder, when does this pressure start to become too much? They've gone 2 minutes without a goal. It's gotta be getting to their head that they've yet to be able to put even a real shot on target. 5 total shots registered, none of them threatening this defense on the other side. St. John Bosco really doing a good job of making sure to not only alleviate this pressure, but march into the other half with a bit of authority. Oh, they've got to be careful here. 2 misses in a row here. Classic needs to clear out, and will just barely get it out to midfield where Jack the Flea is waiting, but it does feel like Phoenix Gaming are starting to put on a little bit of a grip here, continuing to put more and more pressure, and when is it going to be enough? Halfway through this game, marching down the pitch is a shot that will hit the back of the net, pass down to midfield, and Roar like a walrus gets on the board.
Lovely play there from K-Boss. Took his time so nicely, knew that he had it all in the world, set it right onto the front of Walrus's car, who smashes it in that top right corner. That finish was pretty much pixel perfect. Better than what anything you could ever ask for, but the kickoff going heavily in the favor of Phoenix Gaming, but they still can't be able to find the net.
Oh, they need to find something soon. We're halfway through this game. They've yet to get a goal on the board. And again, we talk about game number 1. It's not necessarily going to be your complete downfall if you're unable to win, but it can be a bit difficult to then find your footing. Setting the tone here in game 1 is the biggest thing about it. And when you can't get a goal on the board through almost 3 minutes of play, it's going to be really frustrating just for your mental, especially if another goal goes in. Jack the Flea will turn that one out to the side and then try and get it past midfield. But again, it's this overwhelming pressure we continue to see out of Varsity Rocket League. St. John Bosco! Uh-oh, the pressure was not enough. Eventually, Phoenix will find their first.
That was a little bit awkward in the defense there. K-Boss just overcommitting on that challenge on Jack the Flea. And as soon as they realized that they couldn't actually make contact with the ball before Jack the Flea had set it down into the corner, they tried to make a quick turn to get back to that front post. But again, we saw Rivers with that follow-up touch from Jack the Flea's pass off the corner. And that was a wonderful way to bring them back within one. Their first major attack, which put on a lot of pressure on their opposition. Will it be all for nothing, though? That's a very good save.
All right, Acelation, I see you. You're just, you're warming up, taking your time, and now you're going to start making defensive saves that frustrate the heck out of the other team.
What?
Oh, that's not going to be all too frustrating, though. That's, well, depending on which side you're on, you might be kind of happy with that one.
Oh no, we were just giving Isolation so much praise and then they go and do that. Oh, that hurts. That really hurts, Baz. I don't like to see it, but it is what it is. These things happen, okay? Just shake it off in the downtime when the next game comes along, all right? We have a bit of time in between every single game where they can talk things out, try and figure some new tactics to bring with you, freshen things up, make sure it is nice and ripe for you to go on and try and get yourself back on the front foot, whatever match you go into. But 65 seconds left. There's still every single chance that Phoenix Gaming can bring themselves back into contention.
I mean, it's absolutely possible. I think the biggest issue we're seeing right now, though, is kind of overextensions here out of this side. Phoenix continue to try and push. They can't find the results, and then before they can realize that they're getting counterattacked, the scramble into their own half happens, and, well, that scramble, it's a problem, especially when shots like this are starting to ring on. Rollick Walrus sends one to the backboard. It's a bit of a double commit, but you can really see how uncomfortable this Phoenix Gaming side is, because even with a double commit like that, they still can't get it off their own half.
They don't seem to be able to find their footing properly, do they? The balance is all over the place. Whether it is someone just slightly too close to their teammate, or it is quite simply that they're just awkward on the backboard. Nobody was in the right spot or the right time to push out and close the angle down. That ball was just floating in front of the Phoenix Gaming net for what seemed like days. And it was as easy as you like for Raw like a Walrus to just come flying on in, get their second of the game, 2 goals from 3 shots. K-Boss doing the same as well. Fit Classic really being the quietest player on the pitch for this side. 3 assists, though, does really mean that he is speaking volumes as well. As Phoenix Gaming looking down the barrel of the first defeat in this series, as now we want to focus on where they're going to go next. Will the form continue, or will Phoenix Gaming try and have their way in the next one?
Well, game number 1, it's going to end in a 4-1 fashion. It's exactly what we were expecting, but, I mean, it's a little bit more one-sided than we were expecting, I would say, going into it. And then after the first minute, you started to kind of understand where this one was starting to develop. It does kind of feel like right now, for Phoenix Gaming, they've got to find a little bit more of a surefire strategy. It feels like they're kind of throwing everything at their opponents, hoping something sticks, and when it doesn't, all of a sudden, they're just kind of looking up, scrambling, trying to figure out where they're going to go. You need a little bit more of, I would say, strategy here right now, because it does kind of feel like this is what we were talking about before. St. John Bosco are not forcing anything. They are not overwhelming you. They're just waiting. They're playing good Rocket League, holding on to that midfield pressure, and as soon as a mistake does come out of Phoenix Gaming, they are very quick to punish. So, it's possible. I really do think that this was just sort of a warm-up period here for Phoenix Gaming, but they've got to be careful. After losing game number 1, your mental can kind of go in the gutter, and if you let it go too far down, that series can go away in the blink of an eye.
Well, here we go. Will it get away from their reach, or is there going to be some sort of continuation that we are going to find that hopefully it does mean that Phoenix Gaming can battle back with a chance to take it all? But this double tap from Walrus will shut things down almost immediately. St. John's take the lead immediately from the kickoff.
Fear Classic also, I gotta give him credit. My man came through, made sure Walrus had some space, got multiple players to commit, and when Walrus has that much room on the backboard, yeah, he ain't missing. 1-0 here early, and our greatest fears might already be happening here. It feels like not only are we seeing Phoenix struggle to find a way to truly counter their opponents, it also feels like we're starting to see SJB really come to life.
They've really set themselves alight. The tone is exactly where they want it to be. Jack the Flea, though, with a very good fake there in the midfield. But again, a bit of confusion. So who was going to take possession of that ball? And in that awkward setup that they had, Rivers, all he could do was just try and send it far downfield as that pass does find itself into the middle. But the crossbar is where the shot will go. They still can't find a way to get on the board.
They're trying everything. They're even double committing on offense, and they're still not finding ways to penetrate this defense. No, definitely no way there. Rivers was able to get back to that one. He's not going to let that go in too easily because, again, you think about the goals that have been scored here. They have been earned. They have been found off of mistakes on the Phoenix side, or they've been bangers into the top right, the top left.
What?
This one into nowhere. 2 saves in a row, and Phoenix will hold on with only the 1-0 deficit.
How? How is it still only 1-0 here, Bass? That's ridiculous! That ball was 90% in. Will they finally be able to get a goal here? No, they won't. Isolation, a lovely clear away. Oh, and the open net as well. That was a big chance for Phoenix Gaming to try and bring things level, but instead it could be going right down the other end. Still held only at 1-0.
This is getting really, really scary for me because it does feel like we're starting to see Phoenix get what we call the hero mentality. All right, we haven't been able to score, so I individually am going to be the player to really make that difference. And when you're not communicating that effectively enough and multiple players are committing out of midfield like that, it's just going to leave you exposed on defense. Another double commits of flying on either side. And this is where you've got to be careful. Phoenix, you are very much still in this game. But if you start to dive haphazardly, all you're going to do is create more holes in your defense. Speaking of holes, no one back but K-Boss. The shot will be off target and they'll be able to recover.
Oh, that was a huge chance there for Phoenix Gaming. They should have got themselves on the front foot to try and be aggressive. They need to have that confidence and the belief that they can get forward when they have the potential, when they have the opportunity opening up to them. They have to get into the face of SJB. As now we are about to approach that half time of 2 minutes 30 left. And all we're seeing is SJB just being comfortable, biding their time really nicely, getting the shots off just to keep the Phoenix pinned into their own half, really struggling to still find a way out. They need to take control of this ball a little bit more. They seem to just give away the possession, send it long downfield, rather than trying to find the passes to each other or simply going for dribbles alone, which means SJB, they can just run up on any ball completely for free, then they take control, then they make dangerous chances. That's how they're able to maintain so much control in this game and see every single one out.
And that's the issue that we were talking about, that I was saying with that hero mentality, is that when you stop communicating with your team, when you start trying to go for individualistic plays, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just need to communicate that with your team. Good example here. K-Boss, they know they've got the double touch, so what do? Send Fear Classic to create chaos. He goes after Isolation. No save will be made.
Oh, it does seem like Fear Classic has his role, doesn't he? He is every single time hunting that person in the backline. Isolation probably could have got a better chance on that clear there, but unfortunately the mechanics weren't really in their favor this time around. But again, that's because Fear Classic was quite literally putting fear into the heart of Isolation. They didn't know what they wanted to do. They didn't know how to respond to what the oncoming force of Fear Classic was going to happen, and everything just seemed to crumble in front of them. And now it's 2-0 again.
Oh boy, it does feel like this uphill battle is a trend that we're seeing far too many times here. Phoenix Gaming, it's a team, they've shown they're capable. They can get goals. They can play against the best of the best. I mean, saves like that go to prove it. The issue is they keep on playing from behind. We talk about this often, making a mountain out of a molehill, seeing that initial goal, starting to get the panic in, starting to fear what is going to be that counterattacking play style, and then all of a sudden it compounds too far to where you cannot make that comeback. So they've got to be careful here. With 60 seconds left, I don't know if they're going to be able to turn this game around, but the good thing for them is that they've got a long series ahead. It does feel like this one is still pretty even, and if we can see a turnaround in Game 3 out of Phoenix, this series can absolutely get competitive.
One thing I want to note as well is the finishing that has been coming out of SJB has been simply wonderful. They have had a total of 9 shots, okay? 7 saves have been made by the Phoenix, including the 2 goals that have happened. Every single shot that they have had has been on target. The shots that are all registered on the whole game of Rocket League are even ones that get close to the goal but may not go in. But this time around, they've been so accurate and precise with every single effort that they've had that it doesn't matter. That could be the first one on the board that isn't requiring a save, and it is. I think I just may have cursed that one a little bit, but Rivers wants to try and get a consolation goal right at the end, as Phoenix really need to try and turn things around. That could have been a good way to start it, but it hasn't quite worked out. 2-0.
Uh-oh, and it's a big result for a number of reasons. Not only is that the second win in a row here for St. John Bosco, but in addition to that, it's a shutout victory. And that's something you and I talk about a lot. That's a really important thing, to not only be able to take down a team, but to keep them without a goal on the board, because it does two things. It, one, shows that, hey, our defense is just as good as our offense right now. You're going to need to get something filthy if you want to get past us. And two, it also starts to sort of dissuade the other team from maybe making those risky plays. Okay, risky plays aren't working out. What do we do? That's the big question right now for Phoenix Gaming. Is as good as they look, it is clear adjustments need to be made. If they do not, feels like SJB are about to run away with this series.
Almost definitely. But I think the main issue that they're having is little moments in their rotation when they do get clustered into each other. That's when the amount of space that you're covering on the pitch hugely reduces. What you want to almost see the pitch like is a cone in front of your car, okay? And that cone, you want to be basically the only person covering that area. With the way that Phoenix Gaming are rotating and how close they get to each other, each teammate's cone crosses along to each other. What that means is they're both covering the same place. That will then tie into double commits happening. That will tie into less space being covered, as I mentioned, which gives more opportunity for their opposite number to actually go ahead and be creative, have more time on the ball, make more things work, and try and take just an even more heavy grasp than what they already have. And look at them from the start. They're not slowing down. They're only getting through the gears and finding a higher one in every single game.
I'm a little bit scared because that was a double commit out the gates here, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a goal, but we talk about this often. It's compounding errors that will result in goals. It's not the initial error. It's the ones afterwards when teammates try to correct what has been that initial mistake. So you need to be careful here. They do break out, and it does look like it's a good chance on offense, but unfortunately, the shot goes just a little bit wide, and that is not going to be enough. 30 seconds into this one, it does feel like Phoenix are finding some lethality. Flip reset is going to hold off for now as it goes off the backboard, and oh no! Misread by Jack the Flea, and a quick counterattack will put St. John Bosco on the board.
We haven't seen a smashdown Route 1 that has gone into yet so far, and now we have? That hurts. I feel the pain that Phoenix are going through with that goal, especially Jack the Flea. It looked like his car might have got the slightest little touch, but unfortunately it was not enough to take it away from the goal. And SJB early on do get a lead. And what is that going to do to Phoenix, okay? Because they needed to get the first goal, didn't they? They had to try and find something quickly, and all they've done is just find a way to concede. But actually, as I talk about them needing a goal, they managed to get one on the board.
There we go. Finally taking advantage of what was an awkward defense here. We talked about it before. It weren't as if the double commits were not happening for SJB, and we've got a player diving into the corner while one is rotating through. That is absolutely going to open up a gap. You need to capitalize upon chances like that, and they finally do so. 4 minutes remaining here. Feels like Phoenix, this has got to be the game for them to win. And they've got to make saves like that. K-Boss not able to beat out Jack the Flea on defense, but it does feel like there's a little bit of pressure starting to build, and if SJB regain their lead this quickly, all that momentum that Phoenix just built will be gone in the blink of an eye.
Now we need to see the work of Phoenix just to try and keep holding on to this 1-all scoreline. But the pressure's really starting to mount. Oh my god, what a dunk! What a save as well, Rivers! Quick reactions to stop that one from going in, but everyone's committed quite far forward. That ball looks dangerous. Rivers needs to get it away once again. It's not a good clear, but Jack the Flea will slow it down to a crawl. That is exactly what they need to do in defense. The slower the ball's going, the less momentum your opposition are going to have, the more chances you'll have to get on the front foot, as nearly that was a big effort there for Rivers to try and turn that ball with a bit more power than what he really got on the play. But either way, we have to look at the fact that they are now finally getting themselves into the SJB half, and they're making them work to try and get a goal and hold on to 1-1. But here we go, right down the other end. Fear Classic, double tap, not quite on target. Jack the Flea over the last man. That's wide open for him, and that is 2-1.
I'm starting to notice a big difference between this game and the last couple here. Not only are the defensive stands starting to happen for Phoenix here, they are capitalizing upon them. They see the commitments out of SJB. They recognize that there are opportunities for them, and they do the most with them. Quick down the field, Jack the Flea finds a 2-1. Now all of a sudden, they find themselves with what I believe is their first lead here on the series. They have got to hold on for half the game, though, and that is not going to be easy. It does feel like we're about to see SJB turn this one up a notch. Now that their backs are against the wall, we truly get to see what they are made of.
So now it is 2-1. Jack the Flea really starting to be the main player to step up on this side of Phoenix Gaming. I know SJB need to do that as well. They have a wonderful roster put together to try and be the champions of this Play versus Cup. And they've got to this point because they are a brilliant team. They have been so good on their attacks, and that is just another one. It's wide open for K-Boss to go and slot it home. That lead did not last for long.
And if you weren't looking, you can probably already guess who got the assist on this one. Fear Classic with yet another assist, their 5th on the series. To give you guys reference how integral this player has been, they have scored, I believe, a total of 9 goals here. Or no, excuse me, 7 goals throughout this series. He has assisted 5 of them at this point. He has literally been involved with almost every goal, I think, except for 1 or 2 at this point. Fear Classic's making sure to run this offense like a team, and they are not letting go whatsoever. That feels like the player that we're going to need Phoenix to watch out for. If they want to try and slow down this SJB offense, they need to start man-marking Fear Classic.
But how do they do that when all Fear Classic does right is see you in their sights and immediately just destroy you? I mean, look at that! He's just being a nuisance again! He's so far away from the ball, but it's enough for him just to put everybody off. He was getting in the way of the person coming in at the back post, so much so that they were just taken away from the play completely just because of a bit of movement off the screen. That Fear Classic has such good awareness to be able to notice things with that sort of situation that we just never will pass. This is the difference between a good player and a fantastic player.
He really is doing the most for his team. And again, it's one of these things where the best players are not the ones that are in the spotlight. The best players are the ones that allow others to go into the spotlight while they facilitate them. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's doing a great job just all around. This is the game that Fear Classic wants to play. And this is the series that SJB wants to win. They are 50 seconds away from setting themselves onto series point. And they would have 4 games in a row just to get one of them. And that would be enough to take that championship. Unfortunately for them, though, they're not quite there yet. And with 40 seconds left, and the pressure mounting up against SJB, this is where they've got to prove they're not just an offensive team. They've got the defense to boot.
They are now starting to build up a wall in front of their goal, but not even just in front of their goal. They're extending it all the way forward to the halfway line, and they are doing perfect things in defense, though. Even though it looked like a double commit had come out there, Bass, it was great because the ball had no movement on it. The 50-50s are brilliant in defense. They just stop and stunt every single bit of pace that your opposition has to try and pull it forward. I said this earlier in this exact game, what Phoenix were doing, which was stopping a lot of the attacks that SJB were coming out with. And now SJB, they need to prove their defense, and they're doing it wonderfully right from the off.
They're doing fantastic, and as a result, they find themselves a 3-2-0 series in 3-2 fashion. I mean, listen, one thing we can say is that these are absolutely getting closer as time goes on. Farmington High School here are definitely starting to put the pressure on, and they're definitely making this a competitive series, but we say this phrase a lot, close but no cigar, because that's what this is here. It only counts on horseshoes and hand grenades, and the reality is, unfortunately, this is neither. This is Rocket League, and if you cannot get that win, it's not going to make a difference. I will say, this is one of those series where it does feel like a reverse sweep is possible, though. If Phoenix Gaming can get just that little edge and start to really take advantage of it, I can absolutely see the series going to 7, but the unfortunate thing is it's back against the wall. You now need this to go to 7, or that's the end of your tournament.
Definitely, they have to. It's a grand final. It's a grand final. A grand final. Come on, I don't know how many times I need to say it to get it into your heads, but it's a grand final. You've got to give it everything. Every little bit that you have left in your tank needs to come on out now. All of your potential, all your skill, your talent, your hours that you've put into the game come down to these moments where you have such big bucks on the line. $35,000 to the winner. 4 games in a row required from Phoenix Gaming. A reverse sweep, that would be known as once again the players are ready to take to the field. Phoenix Gaming, they've had a minute to try and reset their minds, figure out a new way to take on SJB. But as we head into this game number 4, will it be really good for them? And or will it be the same old story that we've seen all series long?
You got one last chance here. It is Farmington High School up against everything. And up against K-Boss right now. They're going to put the pressure on initially. First attack seemingly going in favor of St. John Bosco. Fear Classic, though, has to try and keep this one out at midfield. And he's going to get free time and space. Straight up to roar like a walrus. And you cannot leave that man unmarked when he has assisted everything here today. You almost know this is going to be a goal.
Just look how far that Fear Classic just went with that ball, right? He picked up 100 boost, turned around on a dime, took to the sky, and stayed up there for what seemed like an eternity. He was never coming down from that ball until it was in the perfect spot for their teammates to come along through and just get it straight on in. Walrus can't quite dunk it in. A brilliant pass once again coming out from Fear Classic, and now it's his turn to shoot as well. But Jack the Flea getting it down and away. Chance here, can he turn it in? He can. Not. It goes off the backboard. Rivers turn to make it work. Can't do it. Down the other end, and no one's there to put it in.
You gotta be not just careful, you gotta be scared right now if you are a Phoenix Gaming fan, because Fear Classic didn't just come out the gates firing. My man came through with a cannon, and he is continuing to unload artillery into this other half. I don't know how you slow him down, because it's not just the assist, it's not just the plays off the ball, it's everything in between that is making this difficult for everyone on the Phoenix Gaming half to try and find a way to stifle this player. Again, we said this in Game 3, I think I even mentioned it in Game 2. You want to beat this team, that player in particular, you need to slow him down, because otherwise he makes assists like that happen. Denied on the line, but again, Fear Classic continuing to facilitate every offense for this SJB side.
Oh, but he's made a big mistake on defense. It's leaked on through. Fear Classic with the faking and chat kind of really deserved to shoot himself in the foot there, as that is not the play you want to be making. It was a simple touch for a player of his caliber, but for some reason a little mistake just crept on in. But that's not going to take them away completely from the game or ruin their mentality, ruin the momentum that they've built up in such a wealth of this series so far, because they've just been so damn good. They've come back from being down. They've dominated from the very beginning. And now, though, there's a big chance here onto the backboard. Fear Classic with the in and out. Can't quite get there. Rivers makes it 2.
Well, we've been talking about how on one side, Fear Classic is the player to watch. Everybody in chat, I've been hearing you guys talk about Flea. Let's give some respect to Rivers. Of the 5 goals that this team has scored, he has scored 4 of them. Rivers has been integral here. Jack getting the assist, so no discredit to him. But it does seem like they have figured out who their star-studded striker is. And if they want to win this game, they need to start dishing this ball to Rivers on repeat. 2-1 here with 3 minutes remaining. This is absolutely the game that needs to be taken here by the Phoenix side. But we already know they need to take this. If Farmington do not take this game, that is the end of the series and the end of the championship.
Does seem like Rivers and Jack the Flea are the deadly duo of this Phoenix Gaming side, as now they have stepped it up at the time of need. But this ball finds itself to the center. Isolation down the other end, needs to chase onto this ball, but Fear Classic so quick to respond to the danger that was threatening their goal, threatening the scoreline to get even worse than what it has already managed to become. As Isolation again down this left-hand side tries to come on through, but it's a wide open net, and Jack the Flea can't hit the target. That is a vital miss.
That could sink the ship. I'll be 100% here. With a team that has been looking for momentum, for a team that has been looking for confidence, to miss a goal like that, now all of a sudden you send the defense into a tizzy. Double commit there. Jack the Flea will be able to break out, but what more can he do with the ball? Tries to get around Fear Classic. They will not miss this time. You gotta imagine that Fear, they are putting all the pressure on their back in particular. They've been the offensive player. They've been the one facilitating goal after goal after goal, but the single miss from them is the reason why they are down 2-1 right now. So you know this player is going to step up beyond compare, but when Walrus is tasked to do the same, they miss the ball. I'm thinking nerves are getting to them right now. They're seeing the end of the tunnel, and unfortunately, it is making them nervous.
I thought everyone was chilled out at this point. I thought we'd have all just broken the sweat completely. We're now chilling, calm, just like, yeah, it's a normal game of Rocket League, but apparently not. I'm totally wrong with whatever the hell I'm talking about, as these two teams are still battling it out tooth and nail. It's ridiculous how close these matches have become. Rivers with a shot. Whoa. It looks like it could be a target, but K-Boss right in the last second dives across. Fit Classic to the corner. Can he get another touch? He can't. He fakes it. Jack the Flea now bumps out the way, and Isolation brings it to safety.
With a minute left, though, how safe are they really? You know that SJB are not just going to throw everything at you. They are going to unload an onslaught of pressure. They could even get some shots in real quick. Fear Classic gets around one, cannot get around Jack the Flea. Final save going to be enough, but what about the follow-up? Fear wants the double, and it's not going to be there. Walrus is off as well. 2 shots in a row. Both should have hit the back of the net, but neither one can penetrate. 40 seconds left, and Phoenix, you just need to hold on.
They are really right on the edge of the rope, on the cliff of the mountain. They don't know what to do. K-Boss there, nearly the player to get the goal, to tie things up. Roar Like a Walrus wants to set it to the center, but Rivers sends it wide, just buying a bit more time for Phoenix Gaming to hold on. Isolation, chance here, takes it down low, can't put it on target. Panic is now setting in. Rivers with a chance, shot over the bar, back down the other end. Can Fear Classic run onto it? No, he can't. To the other side, Jack the Flea to the middle. K-Boss keeps it up. One more chance. It's saved by Rivers, and Walrus can't turn it in. That is the first one on the board for the Phoenix.
They finally do it, and they do it when most necessary. That had to be the one. Farmington backs against the wall here. Phoenix Gaming needed a chance just to survive. Well, they've done that, but unfortunately for them here, Swaces, that is step 1 of 4. Yep. They need 3 more games in a row if they want a chance to take down SJB. And I mean, it's possible. We just saw SJB take 3 in a row, so we know that they can, but the issue is that you have to think to the goal that they do get there in that game. It's a huge miss out of Fear Classic, one of the most consistent players in this entire lobby. If he doesn't do that again, how are they going to get through? That has got to be the question here for Phoenix right now. They have thrown everything at their opponents, and although it's stuck this time, what's it going to do here in game number 5?
Exactly, they're just throwing mud at the wall and hoping that it sticks. But Phoenix, they have now sort of shown that they are relying heavily on Jack the Flea and Rivers to be the powerhouses of this team. They are the ones doing everything on offense, and a lot too on defense as well. Isolation sort of just filling in for positions that they're not covering at the time, and that system is clearly working. That first win is going to get massively into the heads of SJB, but can SJB bring themselves back to their previous form, or will Phoenix Gaming carry on this series and take another win?
I'm gonna be honest, I am realizing something. We did, call this one a little bit too early because it's Phoenix Gaming. Phoenix rise from the ashes. This is what they've been planning to do since they walked in here. They intentionally gave up 3 games just so they could have the reverse sweep. That's exactly what they did here. Definitely didn't just lose them because they got outplayed. Not at all. Jokes aside, it does feel like they are actually rising back, but they will have a problem if K-Boss can get this angle. Denied on the line. Fear Classic can't make a follow-up touch, and what should have been a huge golden opportunity to start this one off has unfortunately not been enough for SJB to capitalize. Oh, wait.
Oh, Fear Classic, though. Chance to run it down. Backboard was ready, waiting, looking delicious for him to take a bite out of. But look who was the person to steal the ball away. Steal that tasty treat that was there ready and waiting for him. Of course, it was Jack the Flea. He is a nuisance, getting in the way and stopping every onslaught of attack that is wanted to be started by Fear Classic or just the whole side of SJB and General Rivers. The shooting is so brilliant to see. It's accurate, it's powerful, it's dangerous, it's scary to witness as he is so accurate with every little play that they make on the ball. But that's not the best pass into the midfield. Rivers again though, playing it calm, staying close to the play. What a 50 that is. Sets it up for Jack the Flea. An absolute rocket of a shot straight on in.
And you can see where the chaos starts to develop here. Roar like a walrus cuts off K-Boss when they're expecting to go for the touch. K-Boss tries to rotate back in time, but by that moment, it is far too late. And once again, the two-headed duo here of Rivers and Jack the Flea will find themselves a goal and another lead here in favor of Phoenix Gaming. We've got 3.5 minutes, but it does feel like we're starting to see that counter-attacking playstyle you and I had been asking for. Adaptations were necessary if Phoenix wanted a chance here, and they have found those adaptations. They've done more than just adapt. They have ran with them and found a way to truly threaten the St. John Bosco side. That's a bit of a double commit, though, so it probably will be the end of the offense, but this feels like it's going to be another one of these low-scoring games where every goal is going to be all the more important. And can they stave off this one? First save enough. The second one will clear it off the half, and somehow, someway, Phoenix Gaming will hold on to their 1-0 lead.
Is there some sort of religion where I can just pray to Jack the Flea forever, please? I need something on the lines of that, because he is providing us with stuff which only gods are able to produce. The weapon, the lethality, the defensive masterclass, whatever it is, he is there, he is ready, he is available, he is the savior of this Phoenix Gaming team, and he just needs to keep on doing what he is doing, as it's everything on the pitch. It makes everything tick for Phoenix Gaming. It's allowing them to stay present in this series, and then to keep on fighting for a taste of that $35,000 prize pool. Oh, $50,000 for 35 grand for the very first place team. And this is a chance. Rivers down the other end. It looks wide open, but Fear Classic comes in at the last second.
And that's the player they need to come to life here. If they want a chance at this one, Fear Classic has got to start refacilitating this offense like we had seen before. Double commits like that are not going to be enough, and it feels like it's part of the reason why SJP have lost that lethal punch that they had before. Team plays were how they were approaching every one of these offenses, but now as they've been going for solo play on solo play, I don't think it's going to be enough. Where's that drop-down pass? It could have been there, but as Roar like a walrus is sent to the Shadow Realm, it will not be enough. 90 seconds left. Shots on target. It's absolutely possible, but Sway says they need more than just a shot on target. They need one into the back of the net that has more than just some punch behind it.
There's been 6 shots out of St. John's and 6 saves from the Phoenix. Everything that is being thrown at them is being dealt with fantastically. We couldn't ask for a much better series to be coming on, but that's a big chance. The ball rising high and looping towards the goal. K-Boss! Right at the front post! Ties us up with 60 seconds left.
And this is why I say that the players are always listening to the commentators. We asked for them to start getting passing plays. What do? Ping it back and forth between the corners, continuing to cause calamity until eventually an opening arrives, and a player like K-Boss, they are not going to miss. 1 minute to go here, and at this point, Sway says we are basically at golden goal scenario. It's technically silver, but if we head to that true golden goal in overtime, I would not be surprised.
Oh my, I would be terrified. My heart is already racing. It's probably approaching 150 BPM. If you go to overtime, it's going to go into overload, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully survive it, as this is a brilliant game that I want to see out to the very, very end. Roar like a walrus, strong in the center. Fear Classic with a chance onto the bad ball, taken away by Rivers, but Roar like a walrus again on the attack. And now K-Boss up in the air, gets a flip reset. Does use it to beat out one player into the corner. That's a big 50. Jack the Flea, the next player in the sights, but that was nearly a devastating double commit coming out from the side of Phoenix Gaming. That's a shot from Fear Classic. Isolation needs to be the player back. Double tap chance. K-Boss does hit it absolutely splendidly. That could be the winning goal of the PlayVS Cup.
6 seconds left. A miracle is all that Phoenix Gaming have to hold on to. We said someone needed to set up a St. John's Bosco, and when Fear is not feeling himself in the game, it will be K-Boss to fill in the gaps. One last attack. This one not gonna hit the ground yet. Rivers is gonna try and keep it up, but they backflip. They don't necessarily have enough. Jack just wants to keep this one alive, and as K-Boss sends it to the sky, it could be one for the road, and indeed it will be. K-Boss, he doesn't just put the cherry on top, he pours the gravy all over the pitch, and 3-1, 4-1 overall. St. John Bosco are your PlayVS champions.
Wow, $35,000 to their name with K-Boss the player that we did not know anything about, stepping it up at the end, getting a hat-trick in the final match. Really stamping their authority on the pitch. But what a series it was. The first two games seemed to be a pretty big shutout, but then from that third onwards, the final three were just so back and forth. Obviously, we saw that the St. John's, they were the ones to win everything out eventually, but Phoenix, you've got to give them credit. How good were they?
They played fantastic, and again, the big thing is that really impressed me, I would say, beyond anything else, is the fact that they had that never say die attitude, something we were always complimentary of in Rocket League. A fantastic way to finish this off, as we just, I mean, again, a lot of teams, they'd go down 3-0, and they go, you know what? Not our day. It's not going to be the one. We're not going to be able to get this done. Let's be happy with second place, and we'll move on from there. But this was not that. This was everything we were hoping for. This was the reemergence we were hoping, and although it is not enough, they gave us a hell of a series to finish off the PlayVS Cup with for Rocket League.
Oh my gosh, that was unreal. That double tap was so good with 6 seconds left. Yeah, it was everything, wasn't it? All of the little spices and sauces, herbs, whatever it is, all into one little pot, mixed it all up, and what came out was that wonder goal from K-Boss. But that is going to be it for Rocket League. We have our champions in St. John's. They were fantastic to see. Commiserations to Phoenix Gaming, but they did still win $15,000. But don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because up next for the PlayVS Cup, we have League of Legends finals. So if you are a fan of that, make sure you stick around, and we will see you also probably in chat watching it ourselves.